Hello, tech enthusiast. Welcome to Minds of Machine. I am Aishwarya, and today we are going to explore the world of OpenAI and chatbots. We will guide you creating an interactive and user friendly open API using a chatbot. By the end, you will be ready to build a chatbot and communicate effectively and share data seamlessly. Grab your coffee, hit like, subscribe, and let's dive in. Ready. Let's code. So, first I will be importing OS. The line is telling the computer, hey, we are going to use some tools that will help us to interact with the operating system. The OS module provides a way of using operating system dependent functionality like reading or writing to the file system. Next is importing OpenAPI. Here we will be using the open AI library, that is saying that we also need a specific tools from OpenAI. So let's bring those in. And this module contains tools for interacting with the OpenAI API, which can be used for AI tasks. Then the next statement, that is load.env, is to load the environment variable from a file, where we will have an environmental file where we will be storing our API key. So as you can see, I have defined openai.api key is equals to os.get.env open API key. So through this function we can actually get the open AI API key in a secure way. So that's the reason we are using this. And finally, we are telling it to find an environmental file and load any of the environmental variables. So here we are actually loading the environmental variable called as OpenAI API key. And in layman term, this is like a code, like a chef gathering ingredients, tools and modules and preparing, that is loading them to make a dish and run the program. And the chef knows that they need the specific ingredients from their pantry, like operating system OpenAI dot environment, and prepare them according to the recipe. So this is how we are importing the files. Next is it defines the function. In this case we are calling it as uh, get completion from message, inside which the parameters are the message, the models called as GPT 3.5 turbo. And also we are going to define the temperature. Next line we are defining is the response OpenAI chat completion dot create. So this function basically completes the chat, or is responsible for creating the response based on your input. So in this case, how it will work is that it will send user message to the model through the message. Then the model is ChatGPT 3.5. Then the temperature is set to 0, which means that the model output will be more focused and deterministic. That means there will be no creativity. And finally, it will return the content of the chat response. So, as you can see, I will be passing the messages. In simple term, these functions are like asking a robot a question or a series of questions and getting an answer back. The temperature setting controls how creativity the robot answers are. So this is how it the get completion message works. Next is we are actually giving the message, which is basically defining the context for our chatbot. So here the first line we are defining as a message, and then we are telling this our model that your role or the system's role is you are an assistant that speaks in a pirate language. It speaks like a pirate. Okay, so this is the system. Now, second line of the play is the user asks for the assistant. So we will guide how can a user can ask, like, can you help me find a treasure map? Then third is this model will be acting like an assistant. So we'll say, me hearty a treasure map here seek is it, is the assistant how it will be answering, is the context we are giving this model. And the fourth line is we are trying to uh, frame a question saying I'm the user and content a that be correct. So this is what message I am, or the context I'm going to pass to the get completion from the message as a message parameter, and get the response and store the response in the response variable, and finally print the response. So the response will look like, oh mate, ye be in luck for I be knowing just the place. So this is how a pirate talks. So it's giving you a response based on the content you provide. If you don't provide it a context, it might give you a random answer or it might not give you any answer. So it's important when you're creating an open AI chatbot, you should give it a context. Now, in the next example, I have given a different kind of example. Like here, we are trying to create a message or the context based on cooking assistant. So, first message of the set is that telling you are acting like a cooking assistant. So here the system is the main model which you have to think. You are a system, we are telling the model you are a system and you are a cooking assistant, and the user is asking, I have a tomato, onion and pasta, what should I cook? So now this context I passed in the same way to the get completion function, and then it will give me a response. As the chef, he will tell me a recipe. So now you can see the um, response. As you can see, the response is in terms of ingredients, then instructions of how to do. So now the model knows that he is a chef and he has to give answers like this. Next example is about, imagine you have a box and inside the box you have put two notes. The first note is from the system telling that it's a helpful chatbot. So here we are taking another example where we are telling it's an helpful chatbot, and the second part we are asking it a question, and we are also setting the temperature as 1 so that it can be quietly more creative and higher creative, a lower number of sticking to the fact. This means it can be more creative than being based on the fact. So now we will be seeing, we are now passing the message and we are also setting the temperature, as you can see. Then we are printing the response and see how creative the reply will be. So it says, of course, to convert a Fahrenheit to Celsius, you have to use the following formula. Then it gives an example. Then it tells you for 68-degree Fahrenheit, it is equivalent to 20 degrees Celsius. So this is how creative the response can get when you increase the temperature. So this is how you can play around with the context for your chatbot to be more creative or more factful when you're using the Open API. So now in the fourth example, I'm just trying to create another example so that you can get various idea how you can create a chatbot in different areas using OpenAI. So here the role of your this chatbot is. It's a friendly chatbot. And the second message, I will be telling my name is Issa. And in the third, hi Issa, it will tell, I'm telling it to write as an assistant, that in the third line I'm writing it as an assistant, telling, hi Issa, it's nice to meet you, is there anything I can help? And in the fourth statement, which is me as a user, I will ask, yes, can you remind me what is my name? So I've told it that I've forgotten my name. So now I have written there that can you remind me of a name, and my role is as a user. And in the fourth part, I will be passing a function the same way as I did in the previous example, that is response is equals to get completion from messages, in which I will be passing the messages and temperature as 1, and then finally print the response. And now you can see the response, hey, your name is Issa, did you forget it? So this is how creatively it asks us. Now let's create a actual example of a bookstore bot. So it's a bookstore chatbot. So first in this we will be defining a collect message function. A function is like a mini program with a program within a program that does a specific task. So this is a function which is a mini program within a program which does a specific task of collecting messages. And this does not take a meaningful input. It just has a placeholder, and its job is to handle the messages between a user and a chatbot. So first it gets a message from the user and cleans the input field. Then second, it adds the user message to a list called as context, which keeps the track of the conversation. Third, it asks another function of get completion from message to determine the chat response based on the conversation so far. And fourth, it adds the chatbot response to the context list. And fifth, it creates a virtual panel to display both the user message and the chatbot message responses. Finally, it returns these panels to be displayed. In simple terms, this function takes a user message, figures out the chatbot response, and displays both the message in the conversation format. So this is how the this collect message function works. This code is about creating a simple chatbot interface for bookstore named bookstore bot, and the chatbot helps customer order books and offers some additional options and extra. Next is importing library. This part is like gathering tool. As I said it before, we are using a tool called as panel to create a graphical user interface that's the visual part you interact with. Then we are setting up the context, that is, here we are setting up the information for the chatbot, and the context contains the chatbot instructions and catalogs of books and extras. It likes the chatbot guidebook. It's like the chatbot's guidebook to know the context. Okay, so this is what my role is, or this is how I'm going to tell, or these all things I have to cover. So we are doing we are entering the context part inside the context variable. We are defining the role, then we are saying your role is system, and then we are adding the content to against the content variable, which is closed within the curly braces. As you can see, I've mentioned you are a bookstore, an automated service to help customer. Your first grade is to greet the customer, then collect the order. You have to wait to collect the order, and then we are telling about the type of books and all those things. Then next we are creating we are once we are setting up the context, our next is to create the inputs and buttons. We are creating a place INP for the user to type the message, and a button and to send the message to the chatbot. So this is how you create the button. We are taking the input and setting up the button. Once that is done, we are setting up the interaction. This part connects the button to the function called as collect message. not shows the code, that will handle the conversation, and it likes telling the chatbot how to respond when the button is clicked. So this interactive conversation is kind of a function which the uh, tells the chatbot of how to respond when we click the button. Next is creating the dashboard. So here finally we are putting the visual part, the input, the button and the conversation display into the dashboard. This is what the user will see and interact with. In summary, this code is like building a mini storefront with a chatbot inside, ready to help customers order book and extras from the catalog, and the user will type in their message, press the chat button, and the chatbot responds according to the guidebook. So by creating, as you can see, this is how the entire thing is, the entire chatbot we have created here. So now when I run it, you will see that user and then hello, welcome to the bookstore, how can I assist you? Then I say hi. Then hi there, how can I assist you today? Are you looking for some books? It's asking me. Then I will type what types of books do you have? Then it will give me the list of books that is present in the that are defined in the context of this code. Then I will ask, I want the science books, and then it will tell, great, we have a selection of science book available, can you please tell the title? So I don't know which science book I want, so I will ask it about can you suggest me some science book titles. So it will suggest me certain things, and this is not written in context, but it has an idea. Okay, you're talking about science book, it will go to the model, and whatever information it has, it will give you with the list of the book name. So this is how you create a chatbot using open api. So now this is a wrap, tech enthusiast. I hope you found this tutorial enlightening, and now you're ready to create your own open API with a chatbot. And if you have any questions or want to share your creation, drop a comment below. We would love to see them. Don't forget to hit the like button if you found this video helpful. Subscribe for more tech wisdoms, and ring the bell so you won't miss our next adventure in the tech world. Thank you for joining us at Minds of Machine, and remember, keep coding and stay curious. Until next time, take care and happy coding.